Okay, so let's talk about those herbicide options. And again, please interrupt me. I sure as heck don't want to stand up here listening to myself talk the whole time. But we're going to talk about the new Duracor herbicide, and then another new herbicide that we're going to have out in here sometime over winter. It's Coteva. And if you have questions on others that I don't cover, please interject. So what are we looking for in a herbicide? I think this is always really important, and there's those of us that really value forbs. There's those of us that have pasture ground or hay ground that has alfalfa on it, or maybe we have some silver leaf scurf pea, maybe we have some milkweed that we want to keep. We got to think about that. What kind of timing can I apply to risk, to have the least risk to damage those forbs? Am I going after brush? Am I going after broadleaves? What am I targeting? Now, mainly in this area, what are your primary weeds?
Thistle, gumweed,
sage, smelly stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there might be a little bit of leafy spurge in areas, but those are your three primary drivers. Absolutely. And goldenrod, I guess, right? Goldenrod seems to pop up in this area too. Yeah, absolutely. So what are we targeting? And it's really important to think about this the same way we think about a row crop acre. And that's the challenge with this vision, is when you're planting a row crop acre, what are some of the inputs you think about on a row crop acre? What are your inputs? What are things you're thinking to get the best crop ever? What are you thinking about there? Fertilizer and herbicide. So weed control, fertilizer. How about planting population, right? What crop I'm going to put in? What's my expected yield? And you're trying to dream big of $7 prices. You're trying to think about, what am I going to earn on an acre? What's my return, right? What do you think about a range and pasture acre? What are those inputs look like? Fertilizer and weed spray, they should be, right? So we need to treat our pasture acres like row crop, right? We already said it's cheaper to maintain what we currently have and what we currently own than it is to go rent more or buy more, in most cases. Some of us can get away with the other way. So we have to think about our row crop acre and pasture acre as both of them we're achieving a crop off of. And what is that crop, right? So on a row crop acre, it's corn and beans, primarily. On a range of pasture acre, it's cattle, right? It's pounds of beef on the hook. Because we all like steak, remember? So we want to grow more steak. So how do we do that? So let's think about that. I wanted to show this really quick if it'll work. This is a video of the new herbicide Duracor I'm going to talk about. This is in Coleman, South Dakota. Anybody see the check in the middle there? Everybody does, right? Absolutely. So clearly you can see that this was treated and then on the left was treated. So on the left is 20 ounces of Duracor. On the right is Coteva, our new non-residual herbicide option. You can see that we've got ragweed, we've got, I think there was a little mare's tail in there, definitely Canada thistle, there was some hidden bull thistle, and we sprayed this on June 24th. I showed it on August 4th, and guys, looking at 2019, last year we had a lot of late season ragweed that came through in July. About 15 days after application, we saw that ragweed come through, and do you see any ragweed in the treated areas? Absolutely not. So this is what a good residual program can look like for you. So this was taken with a drone, so bear with me. So again, Coteva Duracor, 20 ounces, that's the full rate. 16 ounces of Duracor, where those two signs are. That's probably our go-to rate for this area in most cases, unless we're going after absent formula. I'm going to talk about that. Another check strip, and then we have our 12-ounce rate, which is the lowest rate of Duracor. Then I show this end not to be picture perfect, but we, as you know, were very wet. We got stuck going into this pasture. I ripped off a customer's mud flap and I thought I was going to get fired. So we gave up and we didn't get the fertilizer out until June 24th at that same time frame. And what happened is we got that fertilizer on too late that was blended with herbicide. But you can see some of those plants in there are a little black, so it stuck to them, and it eventually took down those thistle species, but it wasn't perfect. And so we're going to talk about fertilizer impregnation and using a blended fertilizer program to treat your pasture acre like a row crop acre, but I'm going to make you guys wait till the end to see that. Okay, so what is Duracore? You're thinking, I was talking to some guys here before and they said, well, we know Grazon, and Grazon P&D is Tordon 240 and Grazon Next is Milestone 240, and who comes up with these names? It's not me. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, so I'm on the first step on the ladder. Duracore is our new herbicide that is a combination of Milestone and Rinsecore. Milestone, as you know, is great for broadleaf weed control. It's pretty selective with regards to the fact that if sprayed at the right time, you can secure a lot of those forbs if you value those out in your pasture or your CRP. And Rinsecore is a brand new active ingredient to our business. It's a growth regulator, so it's like Milestone, but the unique thing about it is it binds preferentially to a different auxin receptor site on those plants. So what does that mean? So can anybody tell me where a growing point is on a plant? Like a weed, a corn, where is it? It's at every branch, right? Every branch is a growing point, right? So why is a new synthetic auxin inhibitor important, like Rinsecore? Because now we can target each individual growing points more specifically and get this herbicide into the plant better than we ever have before. So Duracore is really our next generation of Grazon Next. And this is the product you're really going to hear about in this range and pasture business, and specifically as it relates to Kingsbury County. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. So, if you've used Culex or you've seen Elevore, it's a similar family of herbicides as the RLX in those actives on your row crop acre, but Rinsecore is very specific to our range and pasture acre.